How's it going, everybody? Mystery Babylon is definitely exposing Mystery Babylon more than ever. Um, CKKC, it's 11/3, 311. We know that 311 was opposite 9/11. On a circular calendar, 311 was when the World Organization declared the illness in 2020. 2 days later, Mr. Big put the LOCK on Los Estados Unidos. And we know that 11/3 is when One World Trade Tower opened. So go back to 311, which is opposite 9/11. 9/11, September is the seventh month until Julius Augustus pushed them all up to, like Octagon Octopus was the eighth month, like No Time to Die, releasing on October 8th, was really 88, which is Mr. Big's last name in Simple Gematria. So 9/11 was really about 7/11, and most countries write the date backwards from us. So it was really about 11/7, the Bible verse where the beast rises from the pit. And what rose up? One World Trade Tower opened on 11/3. So their 11/3/311 codes are Gigantica. And so their last event featured the name of a person with those two initials, didn't it? And the last name was the name of the Star Trek captain. And we know Charlie Brown was initially released on October 2nd. Forget the year, but when you spell out October 2nd, Second, that does come to his name in Simple Gematria, first and last name. So, yeah, so I wanted to look at some things. Wednesday is 148 weeks, 6 days on 9/30. 8675309. There's your date, 309. I told you most countries write the date backwards, so it'd be 30/9 or 30-9 or 30th of September. 8675309. 86 begins that, doesn't it? Followed by 7, the number of the book of Revelation for cleansing. So Wednesday is at 146 weeks and 6 days, 1486 combination. 148 is his name in Simple Gematria if you include the middle initial J. It bumps it up from 138 to 148 because J has a 10 numerical value. It's the 10th letter in the alphabet, Simple Gematria. Personal cipher. So Elton John, the EL is their big two letters um, that they like to use to bastardize the Bible. And John is Mr. Big's middle name. Elton John 2930 is how many days old he'll be. 28679. 86 means to eliminate, 79 is murder in Simple Gematria. It doesn't really get much bigger than that. And if you go to the rising day of October 2nd, which when you spell out his name, now I want you to watch this when you include both dates with Elton John. His days are a palindrome, 28682, the same number forwards and backwards. So it's really starting to get very spectacular looking at this date. Yes. Let's go to some other items. Hang on just a quick second. See what I can find for you. All right, so let's keep going with it. Um, so yes, a big time personal cipher of somebody that I knew well, rest in peace. He was born on 9/11, 63. And if you include both dates, his birth, 29/30, is 22,666 days. And he sat next to me at a funeral of somebody born on 11/17. They both died way too young. The funeral we were sitting next to each other at was my age. We were very young, 30s, I think. And then this person sitting next to me, he also died very young of the same disease. So this 9/11/63 is a 666 hit. And then it would be, remember 22, the 22nd prime number is 79, which is murder and simple gematria. And it would be 22668. 68 reverses 86, but 68 is Mr. Big's name in the same cipher where it also matches Antichrist. I think it's reverse reduction or reverse ordinal, one of them. Um, when he went down the escalator, the descent, which represents death, he's descending. When he announced his candidacy on 6/16/2015 to the rising day, it's 3,761. 761 is the amount of verses when you combine Daniel and Revelation. That's so big. That's just, it's just so big. Um, the Jenny song 8675309, November 16th, 1981. And it's got 602 in the middle of the days, which is Revelation and Strong's Concordance is 602. So that's a big deal. Big deal. I can't remember what this was. I think it's, yeah, I can't remember what these two were. They were release dates, two separate release dates. That might have been the movie Amsterdam. Yeah. Film Amsterdam, Wikipedia, September 18th, October 7th. That had everybody in it. The villain in No Time to Die, Michael Shannon who screamed, There's a Storm Coming, John David Washington, that represents Mr. Big, of course. Um, John, his middle name, John, who wrote Revelation, and then David, because Jesus came from the lineage of David, and then Washington, of course, the original president. All the presidents represent the future Antichrist, who would be the final president. Margot Robbie, Chris Rock, Anya Taylor-Joy, Mike Myers, Taylor Swift, Robert De Niro, and again, the villain in No Time to Die, Rami Malek. Just that movie is a big, big cipher. I always track that. And it is a 37 progression on the rising day, 1,110 days. And there's the Twin Towers, 110 stories high, but doubled as it's 11110. Excuse me, 1110. So kind of simulating a double there. The October 7th release is 189 or 1089. And the 89, when you put Mr. Big's name in the Jewish Hebrew gematria, with or without the middle initial, 89 is in there. It's either 589 or 1189, depending on if the middle initial is in there. So that date is a big date. Um, Nothing earth shattering there though. The Ginny though, with the 602, that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. And his escalator descent, that's a really, really, really big deal. Um, so somebody I know dearly, um, we are 4,666 days apart. And on September 30th, our extremely high watch day, she will be 18796. 187, of course, the gigantic murder code, the 187th prime number is 1117 from the Zechariah Bible verse of the right eye wound to the Antichrist, Zechariah 1117. But it's fused with 79, which is murder in simple gematria. So 1879 followed by a 6. That's how many days old this person would be. And on the rising day, the last two digits are 98, and the 98th verse is the crowning, representing the rising and so forth. So that's a big deal. Um, when the paper airplane, plane, jet, plane hit my right eye, it's 138, 3. 138. That's how many days it is. 1,383. Think about this. 138 is his name in simple gematria without the middle initial. 38 is murder in one of the four base ciphers. 38 is death in one of the four base ciphers. 83 is murder in one of the four base ciphers. So it's 1,383 days from when I got the right eye jet, which is what brought down the twin Trumps. It's what killed Donnie Darko, the jet engine. And they just play the Dolphins on the eve of the 30th on Monday Night Football. That score is going to be very interesting to witness. But yes. And Donnie Darko stands for Donald's darkened right eye. So a paper airplane, literally, of a student I had to watch. Um, it was the last day before the winter break, and he had done a great job for me all day. And I let him fly paper airplanes in the room. I even flew a few. I think mine were better. He had a good one. But while I was looking at my laptop, it literally he flew it, and I wasn't paying attention because we were waiting on the bell to ring, and it flew directly into my right eye. And I just started blinking and blinking and blinking, like, goodness gracious, what in the world? And I didn't lose sight. It wasn't even that fuzzy, but maybe for a minute. But wow, that's a cipher I always track. 12/17/2021. It was on a Friday, again, right before, the winter break. I was behavior interventionist and I had to, watch certain children. And so yeah, this was that's a big personal cipher that I felt like the Lord always wanted me to track that date and to be 1383 on the 30th. That's a really big deal, sports fans. Charlie Brown, October 2nd, 1950, by the way. Yeah, which is, again, his name spelled out. That's hard to beat, isn't it? It's really hard to beat that. On August 12th, 2022, when we had Sirius the Dog Star rising, and it was a midpoint of two total solar and two total lunar eclipses in both directions. The two total lunars were 88 days in both directions. The two total solars were 251 days in both directions. That is the biggest marker I've ever seen in my life. And when you run it to 9:30, it's 1145 days. 45, of course, is big number. On the rising day, it'd be 1147 days, his other big number. He's the 45th and 47th. That's a big cipher. That's a big deal. Um, Personal cipher concerning Forrest Gump, per that song we were talking about, 8675309. Gigantica. So Forrest Gump came out on my birthday, July 6, 1994. To the rising day, it's a palindrome. 11411. What do you know, right? Mega yikes. Forrest Gump also had a premiere on June 23rd. It's 11,422 on the event day. Now, 422, I'm sorry, 22, again, 22nd prime number is 79 for murder. But it's 11422. Not only my old phone number, but Acts 14:22, we all through much tribulation enter the kingdom. So tribulation is marked biblically there. And yes. So I started looking at, not sure what these dates are, the transfer portal of time. When I looked at the transfer portal of time, it transfer portals back to April 22nd, 2018. If y'all remember the transfer portal of time, which we discovered was one of the most amazing, that ended up being on January 10th, 2022. Because the transfer portal is what they talk about, which that was the national championship game where the transfer portal Dr. Pepper commercial was taking place. And college football keeps talking about the transfer portal, but it's really just about the gateway arch and when Satan will possess the body and so forth. Well, it transfer port the so this January 10th, 2022. Remember, we went backwards and forwards certain days, 37 progressions, 74 progression. I mean, 37 progressions, which 37, 74, 111, and they all started bouncing off each other and landing on eclipses and moons, right? Full moons in the immediate. And we realized we really discovered something gigantic. And it's a very long story. You'd have to go back on certain channels way back to that time frame of 2022. You have to scroll way down. And if we look at, it seemed like his amount of days to 422. Yes, he's 26,245 days old. And then if you run it to transfer portal to the rising day of 420, because it's going backwards, um, he would be 26,247. So again, the 45-47 combination. And the 262, remember 602 dropped the zero, is Revelation in Strong's Concordance 602. And their world dropped the zero. Basically in the Lord's world too, especially at the end of Numbers. Um, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Let's go to that 422, 2018. Yeah, we already looked at that. That's he and I's midpoint. Yeah. Yeah, say. I'm not sure what that 927 2002 is. That hits 8,404 days. I'm not sure what that is. I think it was a movie release. Yeah, there it is on a Friday. Um, Hang on just a quick second. 927. Hmm. It was something. I just can't think of it right now. Anyway, let's get on with the Bible study. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear. And by the way, if you're on my um, other channels, the Friday Bible study was really part one of this September 30th um, look-see. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city. We've been explaining that in the previous studies. It's where our Lord was crucified for 11:8, Revelation 11:8. That was clothed in fine linen, purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. It's also the divine feminine spirit that runs the earth for Mystery Babylon, that satanic spirit. And it's also the her is also Satan shapeshifting into the goddess, the whore of Babylon. So it's the city, it's the shapeshifting to the goddess, and it's that divine feminine spirit. Saying, Alas, alas, that great city, clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, for in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught. And every shipmaster and all the company and ships and sailors and as many ships trade by sea stood far off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads. This is very metaphoric speech. And and if the fallen angels are, as they possess the bodies during God's wrath, if they're scripted to say this literally, then that's what it'll be. The human host, I'm sure, has died off by now. And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city where we're made rich, that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour is she made desolate. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea. By the way, Elton John was born in Middlesex, England, and that was the name of the school that Donnie Darko was attending. So that's why tracking Elton John is a really, really big deal. That great city Babylon be thrown down and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of the harpers and the musicians and the pipers and the trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee. And no craftsman of whatsoever craft shall be found no more at all in thee. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. Semicolon. End of verse 22. And let's move over to our John study. We're on column 2 today of my dad's old King James Bible. That whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have eternal life. For God so loved the world, and of course, that world is cosmos. We don't even get our word world from the Greek word cosmos. It does not mean God loved every person born. It means harmonious arrangement. The word world, this Greek word cosmos, excuse me, which is dubbed in world in the New Living, I'm sorry, in the King James and throughout, but it's in the translation of Textus Receptus, the received text, written by Erasmus, the Catholic. But it's an excellent translation, and it's per the Greek word cosmos. But there's 8 Bible usages for this word, and the definition is very layered. And so, like the 5th Bible usage for this word cosmos, translated over to the English word world or the Old English word world, the 5th Bible usage was every person on the earth. The first definition or the first Bible usage and the first definition is what God so loved, the harmonious arrangement, what he arranged, which of course was the sheep, the apple of his eye. The Bible is nothing more or nothing less than a love story about a bridegroom, our sovereign God, and his bride, the sheep. That's what this whole movie story is about. We use movie as a term because we like the best way to understand how it all works is God is the writer, director, producer of this existence called Earth Life. And then he even starred playing roles he ordained he would play in cameo appearances as God of the Old Testament, God of the New Testament. That's why Jesus said, don't you know I got to follow the scriptures? I got to follow the script. I got to play my role. And then then God of the Old Testament reacting to everything the Jews did makes people think that man has free will and God just reacts to what man does. No, the word was before anything was made that was made. So that means every story in the word was already scripted out and written before the earth or the movie set was ever created, which is the way it is also done in Hollywood. Anyway, for God so loved cosmos, or his harmonious arrangement that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believe on him should not perish, and all sheep will, but have everlasting life. Now, this is a proper belief. It's a proper faith. Faith without works is dead. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He that believeth on him is not condemned, that's sheep. But he that believeth not is condemned already, that's the goats. And remember, their names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. Revelation 17:8 and 13:8. But he that believeth not is condemned already, because he have not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. It's a proper belief now. It's not just people go, I believe in Jesus, and then they celebrate Christmas and Easter and believe in man's free will decisions to take all that to the grave. There's no salvation in any of that. And this is the condemnation that light is come into the world, and men love the darkness more than the light. Boy, you better believe it. Until the lost sheep get baptized by the Holy Spirit, and all the goats never even get that. So they love darkness rather than the light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. His deeds should be reproved. But he that doth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God. After these things came Jesus and his disciples into the land of Judea, and there he tarried with them and baptized. And John was also baptizing in Aenon near Salem because there was a lot of water there and they came and were baptized. So the water baptism is still taking place, of course, for John was not yet cast into prison. Anyway, I'm glad you're here. I love you very much. Ask questions anytime. That's what I'm here for.